21-year-old Nicholas Ninow has been found guilty of the rape of a child in the Dross restaurant last year. SABC News reporter Patricia Visagie is in our Pretoria studio for more on the judge's findings. Patricia, thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Widely expected that Ninow would be found guilty, but there was anger in court after the judge delivered that verdict.
Well, good evening. Certainly, we heard, some of the shouting from the public gallery. And I think this morning, for those who have been following the case the whole day, you would have seen that the public gallery in this particular case was packed to capacity with the various political parties that were there. But in particular, the activists who were there, who were actually awaiting to find out how exactly the case would go. And that anger and unhappiness that was expressed was because the case had to, of course, be postponed to the 16th of next month. And that went against what the activists were expecting, the media was expecting, and in particular the NPA, because the NPA had told us that actually they good to go, they have all their ducks in the row. And actually what we had expected was for the judge to deliver the, of course, verdict in this particular matter. And everybody was actually ready for both the NPA and the defense to start with the arguments in mitigation and aggravation of sentencing. And that was supposed to already kick off today, with the NPA saying that they had hoped that maybe by Friday the case would have wrapped up and Nicholas Ninow would have then perhaps even been sentenced by Friday, because it was really a clear case if you take into consideration that he had already admitted to having raped the 7-year-old.
Patricia, we saw that mood of anger in the court. We also saw Nicholas Ninow's mother sitting among the various political parties and civil society organizations that came out to support the victim and their family. What was their response like towards her?
Well, they were sitting there. We also saw, I think, somebody who seemed to be his sister, or that was the information that we got. Of course, them also being there, really not showing much emotion. As you would understand, they were flagged by many of the people who actually came in support of the victim and her family. And we saw, that emotional reaction from his mother when he was actually taken away by the police. And that shouting that was followed by the activists and the political parties, some even calling him names and heckling him and saying that you should rot in jail repeatedly. So I don't think under the circumstances it was, really for them to be explicit in showing their emotions. If you in particular take into consideration how sensitive this case is and the just broad outrage that has been expressed around this particular case since it started about a year ago. So maybe when we go into sentencing and we understand his fate and how long he will be behind bars for this particular crime, we will then rope in his family to, I think, maybe get to the background. How did Nicholas Ninow grow up? What perhaps are the factors in his childhood that could have contributed to his actions? You would know that information will also come out very strongly in the defense's arguments when they will be, of course, calling for leniency and mercy in the mitigating arguments for sentencing when we return on the 16th of October.
Patricia Visagie coming to us live from our Pretoria studios, giving us an update on the judgment handed down today in that rape case.